I'm joined today by Stephen Kelly, Chief Executive of Manufacturing in Northern Ireland. Before we start discussing the subject of dual market access, Stephen, perhaps you could say a few words about your organisation and the important role it plays in representing Northern Ireland's world-class manufacturing businesses, which, as we all know, are various shapes, sizes and sectors.
So I'm Chief Executive of Manufacturing Northern Ireland. We represent a sector which is making a huge contribution to the Northern Ireland economy, solving problems for businesses and consumers here at home and across the world. It's anything from aerospace to food. It's a very strong advanced manufacturing sector, and there are jobs that are created in every constituency and every community right across Northern Ireland. We continue to employ close to 100,000 people across 5,000 manufacturing businesses, and those businesses largely sell to markets here at home, but increasingly and in greater volume, our manufacturing businesses are selling to the European Union.
I'd like to talk now, Stephen, about the unique position that Northern Ireland now finds itself in after the UK left the European Union, and specifically how it relates to manufacturing businesses here. What's your view on Northern Ireland's trading arrangements for goods following the UK's exit from the EU, or dual market access as we like to call it?
Well, for many of my manufacturing businesses, nothing has changed. Prior to Brexit, their goods could freely flow into the European Union, freely flow across the border on the island of Ireland. And since Brexit, in terms of that outbound flow, people have experienced exactly the same experience that they had pre-Brexit. So the one part of the UK that continues to see no change in terms of its access to that market is Northern Ireland. There are challenges, there are frictions in our supply chain from Great Britain into Northern Ireland. But 5 years down the line since this has been introduced, our businesses are reporting that their supply chains flow freely. The systems and processes that they needed to stand up in order to continue that supply chain from Great Britain are working well. And in increasing numbers, our manufacturing businesses are selling more product to more companies and more territories right across the European Union. And we're the only region within the United Kingdom that continues to see a growth in sales to the European Union.
How important was it that Northern Ireland maintained access to both Great Britain and the EU for goods?
Well, it's critically important. We sell pretty much the same by value to the rest of the United Kingdom as we do to the European Union and to the rest of the world. Those are two incredibly important sources of income for our manufacturing businesses and for the people that rely on those businesses for their wage. Making sure that we had that free flowing of goods continuing to the European Union was really, really important. But so too is that unfettered access that we have to the UK marketplace. And the UK government and the EU agreed these unique trading relationships for us. And our businesses are showing that when opportunity exists, they're able to capture those. So continuing unfettered access within the United Kingdom's market and continuing that free flow of goods and free circulation of our goods to the European Union is a unique position that people are finding that they can prosper in.
I said it in my opening statement there, and you've just said it there now. We talk about a unique position. Do you believe that statement to be correct?
It's correct. There is no other place on these islands or anywhere else, for that matter, across the world that continues to have that free flow of goods from here to the European Union and to the rest of the UK marketplace. We're in an increasingly fractured international trade world. We understand the challenges, and particularly understand the challenges that tariffs bring. But none of our goods have a tariff applied when they go into the UK market. None of our goods have a tariff applied when they go into the EU's market. The regulatory burdens don't exist in those locations as well. So there's territories right across the world would love to be in the position that we have, and businesses that I represent talk about some of the challenges in terms of the admin from Great Britain into Northern Ireland, but most of them are focused on the real opportunity that exists, and they're capturing that opportunity in increasing numbers.
That's an important point you made just in that your closing statement there. So you are seeing businesses here benefiting from dual market access?
Well, the evidence speaks for itself. We're the only UK region that continues to see growth in terms of its exports to the European Union. We have record numbers of exports by value to the European Union since Brexit has happened. businesses can report what they report, and we have numbers of businesses that have increased their trade to the EU, but also increased their trade to the rest of the United Kingdom as well. But on a big economy scale, record amounts of sales to the European Union, record amounts of sales to the rest of the United Kingdom. That speaks for itself.
One of the probably most frequent issues that probably comes across my desk is a lack of understanding by both European businesses and indeed GB businesses about our dual market access position. For Northern Ireland EU trading goods, it's often assumed that the UK-EU Trading Cooperation Agreement applies, but that's not the case for Northern Ireland. And we have different arrangements here that were agreed by both GB and the EU. Is this something that you see and hear of, and how do we overcome that perception?
I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, I'll begin with the trading arrangements between the UK and the EU as a whole. Yes, they have the Trading Cooperation Agreement, but it's a very thin trade deal, to say the least. Businesses across the UK, across the EU report that whilst it's welcome that there is a deal between the UK and the EU, it's nowhere near what it was prior to Brexit itself. There's frictions, there's regulatory challenges, there's customs responsibilities. The frictions exist there that actually make trading between the European Union and Great Britain incredibly difficult. And that's reflected in the drop in terms of the sales on both directions. From our perspective, we have what we call dual market access. It means a lot to us here. We understand it because we live it every single day. But if I defined it like this, that what happened pre-Brexit is the same trading environment that we have in terms of outbound sales to the rest of the EU and to the United Kingdom. So the one single location anywhere in the world to locate a manufacturing business or a distribution business that has that unfettered access, that has that free circulation of goods, is uniquely here in Northern Ireland. It's a market opportunity for our businesses that currently exist and potential investors as well.
And if we perhaps just switch the focus now from our manufacturing business here and we look at GB and EU buyers, what do you see as the benefits for them in being able to source products from Northern Ireland?
Well, we've seen this evidenced both in the UK marketplace and indeed in the EU marketplace, where those frictions were placed, admittedly eased a little bit through the UK and the EU's Trade and Cooperation Agreement, but those frictions, those supply chains that existed between EU and UK companies have a fracture in the middle of it. So what happened is, and what continues to happen, is that EU buyers are looking to Northern Ireland. They wish to continue their trade with the United Kingdom. They're seeing Northern Ireland as their place to trade with the United Kingdom because the barriers don't exist. It may be in whole or maybe even in part. We've had lots of supply chain disruption between COVID, between boats getting stuck in the Suez Canal, Brexit, more recently now potential tariffs with the United States. And supply chains and continuing that flow of supply chains is really important to a manufacturing business. So they've pivoted towards Northern Ireland. They've, for some companies in GB, they've been ditched, and instead of buying from Bolton or Birmingham, they're now buying from Belfast and Banbridge. And equally in the opposite direction as well, there's UK companies whose supply chain was being disrupted and they needed a continuing supply and a free flow of supply. So they've used Northern Ireland as their means to continue to access those goods. Why do people continue to do this? Well, there's language, there's contractual arrangements, there's currency challenges, there's historical tastes and sometimes tooling that's been specifically created so that both markets can be served. That's not easy to replicate. That's not easy to build and start out from scratch. So they wanted to continue, EU customers wanted to continue a relationship with UK customers. So they looked at Northern Ireland. UK customers wanted to continue a relationship and a flow of trade with the EU. So they've looked at Northern Ireland as well. We're in that sweet spot between both markets. We're in that sweet spot that means that this is a great place to manufacture and to distribute from.
And our InvestNI International Business Group, we work to grow exports and also attract inward investment into Northern Ireland. So from that inward investment perspective, how do you see dual market access contributing to Northern Ireland's proposition as what already is really a great place to set up and do business?
Well, that's the most important thing The most important statement was the bit at the end. This is a great place to create, to establish, to build a manufacturing business and to grow it. That will always be the case. With great people, very creative and clever problem solvers, friendly and internationally focused, and that will always be the case. What this provides us is a unique opportunity to talk to potential investors, but also give us a place apart. For the first time, a place apart within the United Kingdom's market and within the EU's market. Other places can say that they're the best place to manufacture goods. They have great people, they have great supply chains, they have great natural resources, they have a great heritage. But we certainly have it. It's in our DNA. And now we have this additional benefit on top of that, which is our dual market access piece.
One final question, Stephen. What's your message both to goods buyers and manufacturing around the world about Northern Ireland?
Well, it continues to be easy to do business with businesses here in Northern Ireland. If you're a US firm and you're looking to access the EU market and the UK's market, there's nowhere else that can do that as seamlessly as here. If you're an EU business continuing to struggle under the Trade and Cooperation Agreement with selling stuff into the UK's market, Northern Ireland's the place for you. If you're a UK business looking to access and ensure that your goods freely circulate in the EU's market, Northern Ireland again is the place for this. This is a unique proposition. We're capitalising on it. We can introduce you to loads of businesses that are doing just that. And we know that given our industrial heritage, our problem-solving capabilities, and now this unique opportunity, businesses will continue to prosper.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time, Stephen.